He made a wish at the graveyard, hoping to see his dead mother again. At that moment, a miraculous thing happened. The man suddenly passed out cold. When he woke up, he found his hands had become tender. By the time he left, he'd transformed into a teenager. Not only did he move with newfound agility, even bike riding felt effortless. And he noticed the cars resembling vintage models discontinued decades ago. Finally, when he passed a mirror, Thomas realized that he had become a teenager. Soon he thought of his mother, whom he hadn't seen in years. Thomas arrived at the door of the house with trepidation. A familiar and unfamiliar man appeared at the door. Memories came to him. Soon Thomas remembers that it's his father. He stood frozen. His dad casually ordered chores. Thomas saw a familiar figure in the kitchen. It was his mother, whom he hadn't seen in 40 years. He tried to hold back his tears. Seeing Thomas standing still, Mom assumed he was exhausted, suggesting he rest upstairs. Then he went to his room. Walls plastered with vintage movie posters, model dinosaurs and space toys lining shelves, retro vinyl records stacked neatly. Each artifact punched his gut. Childhood memories surfaced vividly. His sister looked at him and thought he had lost his mind. Thomas thought it was all a dream, that he would wake up after a nap, but he slept through the evening meal, only to find that his parents and sister were still with him. Thomas had a lot of questions in his head. Was it really not a dream? But he couldn't do anything about it. He could only hope that nothing strange would happen next. The next morning when he woke up, Thomas was still a young man. He stroked his beard out of habit, although he looked only 15, but he had the soul of a 50-year-old in his body. Then he went to school with his sister. At school, Thomas saw his best friend, and the girl he used to have a crush on. Although Thomas had traveled back in time, but he didn't want to chase after the girl. He just wanted to know what was going on. But he soon found out. After school, a friend invited him home to play. At his friend's house, Thomas saw a science fiction book. It was about a man who traveled back in time, and his life was changed. Thomas seemed to understand something. He immediately left his friend's house. According to the setting of the novel, he traveled back in time to change his fate, so he must have traveled back in time to change something. It occurred to him that something big was going to happen this year, when Dad would vanish without warning, abandoning them all. No explanation ever given. Thomas wanted to ask his father why he was leaving, but it would be too strange to ask now. In the end, he didn't say anything, but this time Thomas had the mind of an adult. Soon he noticed details he hadn't noticed before.